Perhaps it's fitting that as Brexit was throwing Europe into existential turmoil over the weekend, Vladimir Putin was shaking hands with Xi Jinping. Russia has turned to China as its European relationship has soured. But the UK's referendum, says Putin, was a domestic decision for the UK alone, and he criticised those suggesting the Kremlin supported a leave vote.
Statements made by Prime Minister David Cameron before this vote, where he spoke about Russia's position, do not have any grounds and never did. I think this is nothing else but an incorrect attempt to influence public opinion in his own country. But as we see, this didn't have a desired effect.
But watch state Russian TV and a different picture emerges. This is Dmitry Kiselyov, often called the Kremlin's arch propagandist. On his prime-time Sunday news show, he stuck the boot in.
Britons are a brave nation and they are the first to be out, but there is a line behind them. Brexit is a turning point in the EU history. It means that the climax of the beautiful utopia has been left behind.
And this analyst thinks Russia's leaders would certainly prefer a UK outside the EU, where it can't magnify the voices Russia finds troublesome.
It has special relations with the United States, so it's translating American policies inside the European Union more than any other member. And secondly, really, the British government is listening more than others, probably, to the fears and to the fears of your Eastern European partners.
Another plausible strand to this theory is that the EU is just too big, too messy, too democratic for Moscow. It would prefer either a Europe with a power structure that's vertical, like Russia's, or a Europe as it was in previous centuries, fractured, competitive, with its countries more available to bilateral relationships. Indeed, there are other EU countries with parties calling for their own leave referendums. France's National Front, for example, which has received loans from Russian banks. But the financial turmoil and renewed slide in oil prices unleashed by Britain's historic decision also presents problems for Russia, not to mention Russian businessmen with financial interests in the UK. As Vladimir Putin acknowledges, Brexit's impact has both positives and negatives. Rory Challens, Al Jazeera, Moscow.